Hello, my doves. Welcome to my temple. My name is Jacqueline 7-Star, and if you've come across this video, then this video was meant for you. For those of you who do not know me, I've been a professional tarot reader for over 16 years and communicating with spirit and studying tarot for over 20, and it is my greatest delight and pleasure to share these insights and my gift with you all. And today is a really special message about kind of where you might be right now and what type of energies to expect. So I'm hoping this gives you some clarification and some empowerment, because it truly is a beautiful energy, and I'm really speaking to a collective that has been through the ringer and has really rebuilt their life from the ground up. And so I'm starting to notice that things are starting to flow again, and we're going to talk about what happens when we've rebuilt with a new inner structure and what that flow looks like. And you'll have to bear with me. I don't know if you've noticed the angle's a little different. It's because I dropped my stand and my mic, and both of them broke right before this video. So yay, that was so exciting. But I have another mic on its way. Clearly I'm using another stand. I would like to use another one, but I'm gonna have to wait for that one. So yeah, and I'll be drinking my calming tea during this video as well. It's, for those of you who want to know, it's hibiscus and peppermint with just a microdose of blue lotus, just to kind of settle in and open the third eye. Nothing too strenuous. So I will be pausing to drink, especially because I really spent a long time with this one. And for those of you who don't know, I do use tarot in order to get these insights, and I sit with them for quite a bit, the cards that I pull, and I write down the insights that I'm feeling. And sometimes it takes a little bit, and hours and sometimes days, to really sink in what I'm seeing in order to get the full picture. And I think that's what's so brilliant about tarot, is that that is possible. So I will be talking to you from my notebook quite a bit, and so I do apologize for that. But I just want to make sure that you guys do not miss a single nugget of wisdom. Okay, so the collective that I'm speaking to, and this message is timeless, by the way, definitely dealt with some type of destructive element in their life. It's kind of like it's initiatory, and it's an enacting force. It is a severe type of energy that happens all in the name of love. And what happens is, you can think of it as the Tower card in tarot, where the home that built you internally gets torn down. And what I mean by that is relationships fall away, careers fall away, beliefs, identities, and I'm really getting the sense that the collective that I'm speaking to took that sword in your own hands and you chopped your own tower down. And I'm just talking to a very strong, resilient, powerful, royal, noble type of energy here. So not to say that there are some things that probably did happen against your will, but remember that this is a severe force that is rooted in love. And for those of you who know Kabbalah, there's a pillar of severity and there's a pillar of mercy, but both of them are rooted in love, and they all exist. Our experiences, whether they're severe or whether they're loving, is leading us towards a more fulfilling life. It is for us, not against us. And so if you're listening to this, you've definitely been through quite a destructive force, and basically are rebuilding from the ground up. And today's reading, it really focuses on the emotional body, the emotional structure, the internal architecture. So when you build something in your life with force or with the ego, or something that's not natural to you because of maybe outer influences or conditioning, it takes a tremendous amount of force to keep it going, to keep that house strong and sturdy and not blowing over. And eventually it's gonna fall, because it's not true and it's not false. Whether it's a false belief, a relationship in your life that is not rooted in truth, or not for your highest good, and even careers, identities, what have you. It's just, it needed to come down in order to be rebuilt in truth. And so, and especially the emotional body. And specifically this collective, if you've listened to the last video, a lot of you dealt with a lot of childhood trauma and a lot of conditional love and maybe neglect, abandonment, to where you learned self-sufficiency and independence, and you learned that you couldn't really ask for help without there being a cost or without it being hurtful. And so that created quite a structure internally in order to that child that's scared to feel safe again, and it was rooted in control. And now the rebuilding is going to be from love and not criticism, in allowing and not control. And so what I'm seeing is kind of like a phase of destruction, stillness, compassion, and then the inner child flowing again. And I'm going to explain more about what that is in a little bit. But first, let's kind of talk about what happens after the dismantling and the destruction that you experienced. And I'm hoping this brings a lot of peace to those of you that are listening, that once that happens, the body needs time to heal the nervous system, and it needs time of peace and stillness. And so there's a great pause that happens, and you need a tremendous amount of patience to recognize that this pause is for you. You're not being suspended because you're doing something wrong. You're being suspended so that you can heal and rebuild even with your golden thread. I always call it weaving a new tapestry. Once it's been dismantled, with something false was taken out, now you're rebuilding your tapestry with a golden thread. You're rebuilding your house with the sturdiest material, which is love and truth, instead of fear and control. And you need a moment, first of all, to heal from the experience that is severe. It is not easy. I talk about getting hit by a cosmic bus. I mean, you're shattered, and you need that time to kind of heal and integrate. And you may feel like the life spark's been snuffed out of you. It can feel like depression, but it's only because your body, your emotional body, all your systems, they need recalibration and they need rebooting. So just kind of keep that in mind. That pause and that stillness was absolutely necessary. So what I'm hearing from this collective is a question of why isn't anything moving for so long? And this is why. It's that healing, that integration and stillness phase to really root in your power and your strength. But I do have good news. Things are flowing and things are moving again. So we're actually coming out of that stillness and integration phase. But I'm saying this to make you realize that you may still need more pause, more to go slowly in order to basically it's taking out your new self for a spin. You kind of want to do it a little bit easily so that your nervous system has time to process the new information and the new experience, and the external field needs time to recognize your new architecture. So that's also why things can feel like time is against you, but I promise you time is for you. And so what were you experiencing during this time of pause that was the most important? And this is what I've seen, and that is holding yourself. For those of you who know about internal family systems, it's learning how to give the child within you love, and being able to feel whole and safe and secure within, that you don't reach outside of yourself for anything external. And what I think is so beautiful is this quote about kind of what you might experience during this pause and stillness. It's okay to feel nothing for a moment after a long history or after a lifetime of longing. Excuse me, I feel like I butchered that. Basically, it's okay to feel nothing for a moment after a lifetime of longing. If you think about it, you've had a child within that has been reaching, and not really receiving that validation that it always wanted, not being seen, not being heard. And I'm really feeling that this collective has gone a long time without it. And it was in order to get you to do this for yourself, because that is the ultimate power, the ultimate attraction, magnetism, and manifestation is when you have this ability to feel whole within and secure and safe. You are building an internal architecture to where you feel validated, because you're the one who loves yourself. You're the one who validates yourself. You see yourself and you know your truth, and you're rooted in that, and you're unshakable. It's your greatest treasure that you could ever have. And it takes some severe circumstances in order to take that sediment and create the pearl, right? So, to kind of give you an idea about the sequences of these events, it's basically the dismantling and destruction that happened, the integration, the pause, the peace, the stillness, the healing, and then you're learning emotional mastery during this time. You're rebuilding your emotional body, and that all that means is mothering the self and like trusting your emotions and giving yourself self-love, kindness, and compassion and that is your power. That's emotional power that now you come from that place, and it reflects in your choices, and it will reflect in your external. And then when that happens, you will start to feel a stirring of new feelings. And this is where you get to bring your inner child out to play, and be reborn and feel that rebirth of excitement and stirrings of enthusiasm that might have felt away from you or apart from you for a while. I promise you're getting your spark back. And I want to say that it's gonna take a little bit. So this is not a highly accelerated type of journey, although that is coming. I do want to let you know it's for you that right now in this moment for this collective, there are small moments and small opportunities that are starting to be reflected back to you, experiences so that you can affirm your new internal architecture and values that you created for yourself. And I'll explain a little bit more about what type of events that might be. But first of all, you're trusting again, you're feeling again, and you're accepting help. And I think this is what I want to get into before we move on a little bit more to what you can expect as your new internal architecture has been built. And this time especially, it's all about being open and being vulnerable and having the ability to leave the past behind, but take the wisdom from it, remain rooted in the present, and think about possibilities for the future by remaining open and vulnerable. And know that if you reach for a cup, it's not going to be bitter like it was. It's that open and trusting feeling that you want to keep and is so important. And you don't want to be hardened by your experiences, although you have every reason and a lot of history about that. And if you follow this channel, I always like to say, don't let the ruins of your past ruin your future. So, and as you are starting to think about your feelings and remaining open, just kind of think about how you can approach any situation from a place of love instead of fear. Your internal architecture or your order is shaped by love instead of control. And you've heard me say this a couple of times. And the other important thing to think about is that this is healing through integration instead of effort. This is huge. I want to say this one more time. Healing through integration instead of effort. What does that look like? That means a lot more time for rest and stillness and tuning within. And it's almost like not as much active, forceful energy, because remember, you built that house before on force. Now you want a more gentle, a more soft energy, and you really want to build from love. So when you're confronted with any choice in your life or in your day, think about, is this choice from love or is this choice from fear? And each time you do that, you are basically tuning the field around you to start to attract new opportunities based in love instead of that control. So I really like to talk about expecting small surprises, like small opportunities of kindness, messages, a creative spark that you didn't plan. It's just like, it's a nice babbling brook, right? And I promise it will become a roar, and then things will just fall in momentum, and it won't be intense. It won't be intense, but it will be joyous. And so here's the kind of like a 4-step process. If you're like me, I like to have steps to kind of explain and integrate this wisdom. And that is, accept the breakdown already happened, okay? It's not gonna repeat itself. Don't mistake peace for emptiness. This is a big deal, because even when I've like come out of this and I'm like sitting in the quiet, I'm just like, sometimes it makes me want to feel lonely. And I think the ache is definitely warranted. But remember, sometimes that nothingness and that emptiness and like not feeling is just like, oh, this is peace. This is not emptiness and not a reflection of like worth. So try to think about that. Lead with compassion, not critique. This is very important because we're healing that inner child now. So when you're moving forward with anything, remember to treat it with compassion and with as little amount of criticism as possible, especially when accepting help and generosity from others. Okay, and then number 4, let small joys re-enter. So as you're kind of healing from this destruction and you're really seated in your new emotional power, allow small joys in as you're kind of moving very softly as you're coming out of like this pause period. And so this is kind of like the process I was shown. And if you guys are curious, how I got to this wisdom was sitting with the 4 of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and the Page of Cups, the Tower, and Justice for quite a while. Justice kind of brings everything into balance. I think about this whole experience is kind of like, yes, this happened to me, and I understand that I am now kind of integrating, and I have this new emotional power. But what else do you have? Like, what does justice like bring up for you, right? Justice is like, okay, there's a karmic reordering taking place, right? Meaning like, I have new values. I have this new house inside me that's more safe and secure and built on love. And so the world starts readjusting. And so some of the things that you might recognize is kind of like external correction, meaning like you might get apologies or like repayments, little things like that, just to kind of like, those types of things are healing in itself. So what else does justice do? It's accountability through mirrors as well. So like if you're embodying this energy, what I mean by accountability through mirrors, you're going to be, experiences are going to be brought to you in order for you to say no, to reaffirm your new values, or you're allowing generosity without guilt. So that's kind of restoring balance to your world by being able to act with your new values. You also have karmic reordering. So this is really what I feel like the Justice card was trying to say, is that so within, so without. If those of you, I don't know if you ever heard this before, but what is within, you will see outside of yourself in your external circumstances. And so you have done an incredible, amazing job of reordering your internal noise to bring yourself into peace and to find emotional peace as well, to where you cannot be disrupted from what you know and what you value. And that is naturally that new architecture is now going to be start reflected back to you, and you're going to attract and magnetize from that place. But here's what's so beautiful about this collective that I absolutely love. Because I got the Queen of Cups, this is telling me about power and empowerment. And this is not just about healing and stillness for peace. I'm really talking to a collective that is using this as power, as authentic presence, and this divine feminine current is seated within. And now you're not just healing, but you are a guardian of the energies. You are a guardian of the law, the guardian of the values. And so it's basically like you're giving spiritual responsibility. What are you going to do with it now? So it's very service oriented as well. It wasn't just for you. It's also kind of for everyone. This, you literally, this win, this hero's journey that you went on to like have this new safety, security, and wholeness within is absolute liberation and power. It's royalty. And now you are seated in your power. So how do you move now? And those who encounter you feel that and have permission to do this for themselves. And I hope one day we just have many, many of us in the collective in this seat of power, preaching the word of love and having our individual, what's the word I'm looking for? Contributions be accepted and finding harmony in a natural order. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. So let me just make sure there's anything that I haven't missed. So yeah, this all looks good. I guess the last thing I'm gonna kind of bring it home on is the idea of wholeness. This has really been about like remothering the self and then connecting with the divine creation of all, the ocean, the womb. And so I also did get a card that was called Mother of the Ocean. And it basically said, I go within to feel whole. I just felt like there was one more card that I needed to kind of round out these tarot cards that I got. And I thought that was a perfect way to kind of close all of this up. And basically, if you're cleansed and whole, this is what it looks like. You release what doesn't serve. You embody the wisdom of the past. You have the power in the present to choose. And you have the possibility of tomorrow, and you inject optimism and positivity and faith in that tomorrow. I mean, this is like the ultimate alchemist, and I know that this collective is a collective of alchemists, basically transmuting into their power from a place of wholeness. You put your pain into peace, and I love that. So yeah, the last thing I will kind of say is, really expect some things to start moving for you. Some things, this is really, it is exciting news. And it's just a warm, comforting excitement because you really have this new sense of safety within. And it's like, you should be very proud of yourself. And I'm hope that you watching this video, that you realize that you've rebuilt your internal architecture. And you are empowered, especially with that new integration of your emotional body, which is what's happening right now. So pay attention to the circumstances that start to come your way. And if things feel just a bit wobbly, it's just because the field is trying to, like, I don't like the word test, but it is like, all right, are you going to be moving with this new architecture? And then that's when the domino effect happens out in the field. And you're really going to see a reflection of what your life was always meant to be without everything that you inherited from conditioning and, you know, your bloodline. So thank you for getting to the end of this video with me. And I apologize that it doesn't, I hope that the volume's okay. And I just also wanted to let you guys know, if you're interested in having tarot readings with me, I do them online virtually with you or do pre-recorded videos. Also, if you really want to learn how I like to sit with the tarot cards and glean from their wisdom and especially without needing to know the meanings in a lot of ways, I have a book called Using Tarot to Transform Your Life, and that link is also below. I'm mentioning it because a couple people reached out to me today, and it just made my day that they said they're using it, and it's really changing the way they look at tarot. So I will kind of leave you with that, and don't forget to like and subscribe and support. your traveler with you in the collective. And I always truly appreciate that. So, okay, it is always my absolute pleasure. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but sharing this wisdom with you. As much as it really helps my life and helps me orient in this journey, I hope it does for you too. And as always, the flame in me walks beside the flame in you, and may you rise in joyful fire.